Good afternoon, students of BA Part 2nd, Government College Jaksu. Welcome back. Today I shall be doing a poem by Arun Kolatkar. I had given you an introduction. I had shared a video and I have also shared a PDF giving the introduction as well as a few points about the poem which I am going to do with you today. So, here on your screens, you can see the cover page of his book, Jejuri, and it is introduced by Amit Chaudhary. This is quite a famous, what do you say, publication, and it is the poems that are prescribed in your course are part of this main book. It's like a kind of a long poem which has got parts, you can say that. So today I shall be doing an old woman. uh, I have already told you that how Arun Kolatkar, he belongs to Maharashtra. He was born in 1932 and he was a bilingual poet because he wrote both in Marathi and in English. Marathi is his mother tongue, of course, and he till 1990s his poems remain unpublished, but later his collection of poems uh, were published. This particular collection of poems was published in 1976. So it is a poetic sequence and it also won him a Commonwealth Prize for poetry. Okay. Interestingly, this long poem has been very, very highly acclaimed by critics, and his admirers also consider it to be at par with T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, which is again a very long, a very popular poem by T.S. Eliot, where he's talked about the Occident. He's talked about basically about the present times, and how the present era is very stark. It has lost its connection with spirituality, and how everything seems to be stark and dry. And somehow this poem Jejuri is also a very stark kind of a narration. And the poem that we are going to talk about today, An Old Woman, that also has been written in free verse. It has got no it's not as such rhyming, and it is again a very stark description of life, and through a very single episode, he has said much. The poem is not very long, it has got 11 paragraphs in all, and each paragraph is of 3 lines, so it's like it's triplets. Like it's quartet. When we have 4 lines in one paragraph, it's known as a quartet, and when it has 3 lines, it's known as a triplet. Okay. So, with this, what do you say, short background, I'll just like to add that how the language that the poet has used is very simple. It is like a common day speech, and it's like he's narrating an incident. It's a single incident that is being narrated, and there are two characters in the poem. One is an old woman, and the other is a tourist, and there is no formal rhyme scheme as such. So before I start doing it in detail, let me just read the poem quickly so that you get an idea of the language, you get an idea of the rhyme scheme, and you can see on your screens, you can see what the poem looks like. uh, an old woman. An old woman grabs hold of your sleeve and tags along. She wants a 50 paise coin. She says she will take you to the horseshoe shrine. You've seen it already. She hobbles along anyway and tightens her grip on your shirt. She won't let you go. You know how old women are? They stick to you like a burr. You turn around and face her with an air of finality. You want to end the farce. When you hear her say, "What else can an old woman do on hills as wretched as these?" You look right at the sky. clear through the bullet holes she has for her eyes. And as you look on, the cracks that begin around her eyes spread beyond her skin, and the hills crack, and the temples crack, and the sky falls, with a plate glass clatter around the shatterproof crone who stands alone, and you are reduced to so much small change in her hand. So, this is the poem. Very, you can see that there are 11 stanzas in all, and here in the last stanza that is there on your screens, and you're reduced to so much small change in her hand, is basically it's you can see 3 lines, but it's ending in 2 lines. It's the last 2 lines are like the concluding comment upon the whole idea about the whole thing that the poet is trying to tell us through this poem. So, let me just start with the first 3 or 4 passages that you can see. An old woman grabs hold of your sleeve and tags along. Now, this is a very common happening. Usually, when you go to temples, or even when you, as a tourist, when you travel to different places, and especially if we talk about India, it is a very common, happening where the poor people or the beggars, they start surrounding you and they start demanding for some money. And here also something similar is happening, though there is a slight difference. I'll come to it a bit later. In the second paragraph, it will become clearer. But in the first paragraph, it is very clear that the woman is the very first line, the last word, grabs. It indicates a kind of desperation. It's not like the woman is not gentle. She's like in a rush. So she grabs. What does the word grab mean? To hold tightly, to pull quickly, almost, bordering on violence. And she takes hold of your sleeve and tags along. The hold of your sleeve is like that woman, she's, caught hold of your shirt sleeve and she's tagging along because you as a tourist are moving forward. And that lady is kind of, she has, rounded upon you and she has decided that you are one person who might listen to her and maybe give her some money, and she tags along. Tag is now a very common word. Tag means that he is moving forward. The tourist is in a hurry, wants to avoid talking to beggars and such people. So maybe the tourist is moving forward very hurriedly and she kind of, skips, kind of maybe is stuck to him and she is, following him. So tags along means she follows him through. She wants a 50 paise coin. She says she will take you to the horseshoe shrine. Now, in this second paragraph, the thing is clear that she is not completely, you cannot call her a beggar woman, because in return of that 50 paise, she is ready to take you around to a small temple, a shrine. What is a shrine? Shrine is a temple, and maybe this is the name of the shrine on that hill, horseshoe shrine. That may be the name of the temple. And she says that if you give me a 50 paise coin, I will in return take you around, and I will, just as a guide takes you around and tells you about a particular building or a temple, or share some details about the architecture or about the stories that may be surrounding that particular area, or that particular tourist place. So she is like that way. You can say that she is a little self-respecting. I mean, she is not just merely begging, or she does not want the money for free. In return, she is wanting to take you around, and she wants to act like a guide and show you the horseshoe shrine. You've seen it already. She hobbles along anyway and tightens her grip on your shirt. Now the third paragraph, you can see the story is building up. Things are becoming clearer from one paragraph to the next paragraph. From one set of triplet lines to the second to the third set of triplet line, things are opening up. The what the poet is trying to tell us, slowly it is opening up, like a bud, it's opening up into a flower. So like most of the tourists who don't want to be haggled or who don't want to be disturbed by such people, similarly this tourist is also, very abruptly he says that I have already seen it. You've seen it already. Okay, before I move forward, let me just tell you here, interestingly, the narration is about the old woman and she has been described in the third person, right? But the tourist has been described in the words that have been used are you, that is second person. So it's almost like making us as readers, feel the way the tourist does. Or you can say that as readers, we place ourselves in the place of the tourist. So you've seen it already. Now, by using this term, Arun Kolatkar is making us a participant of this incident, is making us, participate in the happening, in the interaction between the tourist and the old lady. And we can almost place ourselves in place of the tourist. So you've seen it already. So apparently the tourist must be saying this to the lady, to the old lady, that I've already seen it, so please do not harass me, I don't want to go to the horseshoe shrine, I've already seen it fully. She hobbles along anyway. Now look at the word hobbles. Hobbles indicates that the lady has some problem in her leg. Maybe she has hurt her foot, or maybe because of old age her knees or her feet are hurting, so she cannot walk very properly. She is hobbling along, like there is a kind of jump. There is, she's not, her gait is slightly twisted and she is not being able to walk straight, so she hobbles along anyway and tightens her grip on your shirt. Now the word tightens is also very, very important, because tightens means that she does not want to let go of the tourist. It happens. Maybe she feels, out of so many tourists out there, maybe because he is alone, this particular person is alone, this tourist is alone, or maybe she feels that this tourist, there is a kind of a body language, so maybe the lady feels that this person would be kinder than the rest of the people, or maybe this person would be, would sway easily and would, part with some money and maybe give her that 50 paise coins that she wants. So she hobbles along and she tightens her grip on your shirt. See, each line tells you about the condition of the woman. Her desperation is something that, comes across through these lines. Her desire for that 50 paisa coin, her desire to not let go of this tourist, and that eagerness, that helplessness, that that tenacity that I have to, I cannot let go of this person because he's my sole hope. Maybe she has not been able to get any money that day, and this person seems to be the only person who might be kind enough to give her that money. She won't let you go. Now see, again in this fourth passage, she is third person and won't let you go, you second person. So this is like, in this way the poet is making us a part of this poem. By using the second form, the poet is making us though this poem is about the tourist and the old lady, but by just using the second what do you say, person, he has made us a participant of this happening. She won't let you go. You know how old women are, they stick to you like a burr. Now this is so telling. This is so much in just simple words and a simple line. The poet has told us so much. What is he telling us? He's described, he's kind of given a definition to this personality of this old woman, and he says, you know how old women are. Now the poet is questioning us. He's asking us, and all of us know how old people are. They are just like children. Just like children, if they decide upon something, that they want that, then they will not let you go until and unless they've had it. This tenacity, this जिसको कहेंगे, आप कह सकते हो जिद, या to be adamant. to be, kind of dominant in a certain situation. Here something of that sort is being perceived, and the poet says that, again he's making us, he's like kind of, there's a kind of a conversational tone here, he's like talking to us directly, and he asks us, you know how old women are. So how are old women? They are just like, they are very very bold, they have seen life, they are not reticent, they are outspoken, they are dominating, they have a way with, they have that attitude that they will get their own way in the end. So they'll make you do what they want you to do, what they want out of you. So here that same emotion, that same idea, the same concept is being made very clear. You know how old women are, that they are stubborn, they are adamant, they will dominate you, and they will have their way. So they stick to you like a burr. But again in the third line it is a little sad, because what are burrs? Please understand the meaning of this word, burr. Most probably, all of us are, we are here in Chaksu, and Chaksu, we have seen so many, the farmland, the forest area, it is something not unknown to us. So if you have noticed, if you go into the forest land, or if you go into places which has high grass growing, there usually there are small seed like kind of, thorny round stuff, which, it sticks to your clothes when you're walking, and when you come back home, you will see all those small thorny seeds stuck on your clothes, especially on your socks, or at the bottom of your pants. You'll have these, and they stick to you very very closely, and when you try to pull them out, usually the thorns, they hurt your fingertips. जब आप उसको निकालने की कोशिश करते हैं, तो कई बार वो थॉर्न्स, जो कांटे हैं, वो चिपक जाते हैं, वो ऐसा अजीब सा एक थॉर्नी सीड होता है दैट गेट्स स्टक टू योर क्लोथ्स एंड योर बॉडी. सो हियर दैट इज़ वॉट ही इज़ गिविंग दिस एग्जाम्पल, बिकॉज दे आर पेनफुल and they are tenacious, and they stick very tightly to your clothes, they don't let go of you. So the whole idea that the poet is trying to get across, he is doing it by using this word bar. Again, it is a loaded word, it's a very important word. It says everything, a very small word, and it conveys everything that the poet is trying to convey. Just a small word of four letters, and it says everything. It, whatever the poet is trying to tell about that old woman, whatever the poet is trying to convey, whatever he is trying to tell us, whatever he is trying to convey about the feelings of the tourist, everything gets across, everything comes across very clearly through this last line. They stick to you like a bar. You try to get rid of them, but it is next to impossible, and they stick very closely, and at a certain point of time they can be very painful as well. Now why it is going to be painful, that we'll come to know later. So I'll end here now. The rest half of the poem I'll do in the next video. So please go through the notes, and these four passages that I have discussed with you, mull upon them, think about them, what it means to you. Get back to me, give me a feedback, how you feel about the poem. Read the rest of the poem, and think about that too, and we'll discuss it further tomorrow. So till then, stay safe, take care, see you again soon. Bye bye.